Kindness nourishes love. But when yes becomes your reflex and your needs vanish from the picture, connection starts to feel strangely lonely. The cost hides not in one big moment, but in the quiet erosion of yourself. People-pleasing in relationships is the repeated pattern of prioritizing your partner's comfort over your own, to avoid tension, disapproval, or distance. On the surface, it looks generous and easygoing. Underneath it often runs on fear. Fear of conflict, fear of being a burden, fear that love is conditional. It can show up as offering to do more than you can sustain, laughing off hurt to keep the mood light, apologizing when nothing went wrong, or filtering every preference through the question, will this upset them? Over time, it trains both partners to rely on a lopsided equilibrium, where one person manages the atmosphere and the other assumes this arrangement is fine. There is no villain in that loop, yet the relationship becomes precariously dependent on one person's constant smoothing. This is not the same as healthy flexibility or kindness. Healthy flexibility moves both ways and leaves you feeling respected after compromise. People-pleasing leaves a residue of depletion. You walk away from conversations unsure what you actually wanted. You agree to plans and immediately begin rehearsing excuses to cancel. You praise your partner's decisions while privately bracing for consequences you did not choose. The pattern can take hold in calm couples as well as intense ones. Because the core driver is not drama, it is anxiety management, keeping peace now to avoid imagined rupture later. Inside, several systems are at work. Attachment learning teaches many of us early on that love may hinge on being useful, agreeable, or invisible. If your caregivers responded most reliably when you performed, soothed, or stayed quiet, your nervous system learned to equate compliance with safety. In the present, that shows up as quick body signals: a tightening in the chest when someone looks disappointed, a hot flush when voices rise, a rush to fill silence with reassurance. Cognitively, schemas form around beliefs like, my needs are too much, conflict means the relationship is at risk, or if I set a boundary, I'll be abandoned. These beliefs are not moral positions. They are old survival maps. Your brain is trying to keep you connected using strategies that once worked, even if the terrain has changed. In day-to-day life, the dynamic often spirals through small moments. Your partner suggests a weekend away you cannot afford. You say yes to avoid the awkward budget talk. Resentment smolders. Later, you make a tiny request, perhaps help with a task, and your partner hesitates. Because you have trained yourself to absorb discomfort, the hesitation lands like rejection. You overcorrect by minimizing your need, then feel unseen. The loop continues. The more you dampen signals, the less your partner learns your true limits. They are not mind readers. They operate with the data you provide. Meanwhile, your internal scoreboard tallies everything you gave and everything you did not get, which is a reliable recipe for distance. Communication traps are sneaky here. Indirect hints replace clear asks. Questions get framed as offers, so that you can be valued for support rather than risk being valued for a boundary. Apologies crowd out opinions. You pre-edit your words, chase the perfect tone, and try to time discussions for ideal moments that never arrive. Ambivalence builds. You know the relationship is basically good, yet your body bristles when the phone lights up because it might bring a new decision to manage. That ambivalence is not evidence that you are ungrateful. It is feedback that your needs are out of the room. Signals that the pattern is veering into trouble often include a chronic mismatch between your statements and your sensations. You say you are fine while your sleep frays. You describe yourself as easygoing while your stomach knots before dates, calls, or holidays. You shower your partner with affirmation, yet feel oddly unimportant. You notice a quiet dread before honest conversations and a brief relief after you promise something you did not want. On the other side, green shoots of health appear when you can disappoint each other without payback, when no lands as information rather than betrayal, and when compassion is extended to both the person who is stretched thin and the person who is suddenly asked to adjust to a more truthful relationship. Imagine a small story. Maya habitually says yes to last-minute plans with Leo, even when she needs rest. She prides herself on being laid back. After a month of spontaneous late nights, she starts missing workouts and snapping at coworkers. One Friday, Leo texts that his friends are definitely expecting them. Maya's chest tightens. She almost types, "Sure, can't wait." She pauses. The pause feels like standing on a cliff. She writes, "I'm wiped and need a quiet night. I'd like to see you Sunday afternoon." Her thumb hovers over send for what feels like an hour. She sends it and sets the phone down, heart pounding. Leo replies, "Oh, I thought you loved the group nights." Sunday works. They meet Sunday. It is a bit awkward. He asks if he has been pushing. Maya says she has been over-agreeing because she enjoys him and hates disappointing people. They talk about what rest means for her and what spontaneity means for him. Neither gets everything. Both get closer to the truth. It is not a movie moment, but something sturdier starts to grow. A relationship that can metabolize differences without making someone disappear. If you want a small playbook without turning your life into a confrontation, begin by noticing your early body cues and translate them into one clear sentence before you speak. That sentence might be, "I want to say yes and I need to check my budget." Or, "I can help on Saturday morning, not tonight." Deliver it cleanly, then stop. Over-explaining is where many people pleasers lose their boundary because reassurance becomes the goal. Next, create a tiny habit of delayed agreement. When a request arrives, default to letting yourself check the calendar or the budget rather than offering an instant yes. This gives your nervous system time to downshift and your mind space to consult reality. Follow through with a timely response so the delay builds trust rather than confusion. Finally, replace generalized apologies with specific appreciation or repair. Instead of, "I'm sorry for being difficult," try, "Thank you for being flexible," or, "I realize I changed plans. Here is what I can offer to make this easier." These moves keep dignity on both sides and make the relationship feel collaborative rather than graded. Co-creating new habits helps the other person adjust. Share your plan in simple language. You might say you're experimenting with checking in with yourself before committing, and that they can help by not treating a delayed answer as a hidden no. Agree on a basic rhythm for decisions that tend to spark friction, such as money, travel, or chores. Name one area where you are willing to take more initiative and one area where you need more notice. Small, predictable shifts are easier to accept than dramatic overhauls and are less likely to trigger panic in either of you. When the pattern feels entrenched or the stakes are high, you do not have to tackle it alone. A skilled therapist can help you map where the reflex began, practice boundary scripts that fit your voice, and experiment with somatic tools that lower the alarm when you hold your ground. If there is a history of trauma or ongoing emotional pressure, focus first on safety and stabilization, rather than the big disclosures. Support can be as simple as one friend who agrees to be your text before reply person for a few weeks, or as structured as a couples session, where you both learn to place requests on the table without moral weight. Self-care here is not bubble baths, it is energy bookkeeping. Track which interactions cost you the most and which restore you, then adjust one notch at a time. Progress is measured in the moment you tolerate a frown without abandoning yourself, or the evening you choose rest and stay kind. The hidden cost of being too nice is that love turns into performance. You become reliable as a service, not reachable as a person. The fix is not to swing toward hardness, but to bring yourself back into the relationship as a full participant. That includes wants, limits, and the courage to let small disappointments exist. Disappointment is not a sign the relationship is failing. It is proof that two real people are present. Your kindness is precious. It becomes more powerful, not less, when it is offered by someone who can also say no. If you recognize yourself in this, it might be helpful to run one small experiment this week. Identify a low-stakes request and practice the delayed agreement. Check in with your body, then respond with one clear sentence. Notice not only your partner's reaction, but your own afterglow when you honor what is true. That feedback loop is how self-respect and intimacy begin to reinforce rather than compete. When things are genuinely hard, if you feel pressured, monitored, or unsafe, your priority is not improved phrasing, but protection. In those situations, seek support from a trusted friend, a counselor, or a local helpline, and make practical plans that reduce exposure to harm. If the relationship includes controlling behavior or threats, the goal shifts from balancing generosity to establishing firm distance with help from professionals. Even then, self-blame is rarely useful. People-pleasing often arises as a brilliant strategy in tough environments. You can appreciate how it kept you connected, while also choosing new strategies that fit the person you are now. If this supported you, consider subscribing or sharing it with someone who might need the same steady encouragement. Thoughtful conversations grow communities where boundaries and kindness sit at the same table, and that is the kind of culture relationships deserve.